Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Happy Wednesday, hump day and all that. I'm joined today, as always, by Jimbo, and we've got YouTube royalty in the house today with the legend that is Dave from the Irish Hotspur. Dave, how are you?
Definitely not royalty or a legend, just a normal Spurs fan. But yeah, I'm keeping well. How are you guys keeping?
Yeah, all good here. Jimbo, you well?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Yeah,
good.
Thank you.
Definitely royalty, Dave. I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with you there.
Wednesday's not another hump day either, by the way. You know, it's a great day to be alive.
Yeah, true. And the sun is shining, which is a rarity in itself.
In our house, Dave, every day's hump day.
Honestly, it took you about a minute to lower the tone, Jimbo. Before we start talking all things Spurs, let's have a look who's in the chat. We've got Eugene in. Big up to you, Eugene. Hope you're well. Leo is in the house. Hi, Leo. Hope you're well, my lovely. Looking forward to meeting you at the London Derby. Shemtan's in the house. Good afternoon. Bobby K. Good afternoon to you. Big up, Mia. Hope you're well. Drulala is in the house. Big up to you. Joey Barton, the one time that you're actually on time and we was a little bit late. I'm not apologising for that, I'm afraid. Big up Dirty Dave. Tequila must know something we don't. Dirty Dave. Well, I never. That could mean all sorts of things.
Dirty Den from EastEnders. He was the guy that was years ago.
Yeah, I love Dirty Den, to be fair. Big up AJ. Good to see you. Bobby's sending the love to you, Dave. Yeah, look, getting lots of Daves. This homie Dave is definitely royalty. See? Big up James, the Tottenham fan. Also, hello to Lee Smithy Smith. Also, Pottermac. Ellie's in the house. Spurs GC TV is in the house as well. Welcome to everybody. Hope everyone's doing good. Just nothing too particular to talk about, Dave. Just wanted to get your thoughts on a few things going on at Spurs. Obviously, it's been a couple of weeks without a game. Has it been 2 weeks or 1 week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Oh, it's just awful. I've got no interest in watching England play because it makes me want to pull my eyes out. So it's been really boring having no football. It feels like it's been about 6 months. Obviously, news came out this week that they're building a lovely big hotel at Tottenham. And as expected, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, some people went into complete meltdown. Do you think this has got anything to do with the season ticket price increases? Do you think it's going to affect the transfer market? What are your thoughts on it, Dave?
Look, first of all, you know, we're turning into Disneyland, you know, go-karting, abseiling, skywalk, hotel, you know, the whole lot, you know, it's turning into sort of like a Disneyland attraction. However, what I would say off the back of that is that we know the owners ain't going to put in hundreds of millions of pounds out of their own pocket into the football club. Now, in order then to sort of try and compete, we have to come up with additional revenue streams to fund what we're trying to do in terms of transfer market, wages, you know, expanding the club and stuff like that. So although other people may not like these additional revenue streams, if we're going off the model that the owners want to operate off, which is the self-sustainable model, at the end of the day, we need them. I'd rather have them than sitting there languishing down the league because the owners don't want to put the money in, a bit like what Mike Ashley done at Newcastle that time, you know. Yeah. So at least we have additional revenue streams. And look, to be honest with you, I've done the stadium tour. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was magnificent and stuff like that. When the hotel's built, I probably might stay there for one night if it's cheap enough. But look, at the end of the day, like I said, whether I agree with it, whether I like it or not, whether other people like it or not, would you rather be Mike Ashley under Newcastle if the owner ain't going to change his ways, you know?
Do you know what, Dave? We kind of had this big discussion yesterday. We had Robbie on from Lily White Lane and we was talking about Levy, and this was my point. Everybody that's Levy out screams for Levy out, but who's to say we might not get someone like a Mike Ashley or even sort of the Glaziers from Man United? So it's kind of worrying. Sometimes I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I do understand it. And I'm not a ranked Levy inner, but sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Do you know what I mean?
Look, I can understand the frustrations around the ownership, you know. When Levy came in, what was it, 2000, 2001, I think it was, you know, earlier on. you know, I was what? I was born in 91, so I was about 10 years of age when he came in and stuff like that. So I had a couple of trophies before he came in, but since then, there's only been one. But fans that have been following the club longer than me, that remember the likes of the 80s and stuff like that, they're used to seeing Tottenham pick up trophies. So I can actually understand where that frustration comes from in that regard, in terms of Daniel Levy. But look, you know, you do take the gamble. Do you bring in a Glazers that want to strip all the assets and make money off it? And Mike Ashley, that very well could happen. I would hazard a guess if someone's paying 3.5 billion or up towards 5 billion for the football club, I don't think you will get them sort of businessmen in here. I think you're going to get sees it as their own personal toy, you know, so that when they meet up with meetings and all this sort of stuff, they can sort of brag about it and stuff like that. So I would hazard a guess if they're paying upwards 3.5 to 5 billion, they're here to make Tottenham successful.
Yeah, I agree. Jimbo, what are your thoughts on the hotel? Any thoughts on it, mister?
Yeah. No, I think that anything like that, I'm for it. I think, you know, Dave, I'm not a Levy out guy. I'm a Levy, stay away from football and do what you're good at.
Which he is doing at the minute.
Yeah, and let people do the football people do the football. But I mean, I've said it on this stream, I don't know how many times, I'll say it again, that Levy, as much as we've got reason to dislike him, he's made us a very, very stable club, and we're always in a bracket in the Premier League, normally between 6, and we've been second, but I'll say 6 and 4th. So we're very stable, and we're not going to be a Leicester or a Blackburn, you know, or Nottingham Forest, one of these clubs that goes down, has to fight to get back. We'll always be there or thereabouts. But I said yesterday, Dave, it's time now this summer, because we've given him time to build the club that he wanted to build, and we are, in my opinion, the best club in the world, right? In my opinion, right? And sustainability, we're the best in the world as well. So now he's had time since the stadium's been built. His money's come in now, so he's got no excuse this summer, Dave, not to spend.
No, look, 100%. I fully agree with that. Just on the hotel, I would love to know where that funding's coming from. You know, is there a separate sort of account with Tavistock or ENIC or stuff like that for where they have money put aside to develop these properties? Is it coming out of the additional revenue streams that we're creating? Is there sort of government or local council level funding towards it, stuff like that? I'd love to know where the money for that is coming from. I can see why people maybe are a bit outraged by it, but this is something that was planned a long time ago when we were building the stadium. There's certain obligations we had to meet, like building Northumberland Park station and stuff like that, you know, to be able to build the stadium and stuff like that. So I'm not outraged by it, because, you know, we all knew this was coming along the lines. But Jim, I fully agree with you. I mean, that's where I'm sort of at. You know, the guy, he's been able to put his vision in place for Tottenham Hotspur, as he would like to say, right? The stadium, the additional revenue streams and everything else that comes with it. There's no excuses now to kick on. Under Pochettino, he had the excuse of the stadium, where not all the money went towards that squad and stuff like that. Whether people agree with him not going for it at the time when we had that squad, that's up to you. But now there is no excuses. The stadium's in. We've got some additional revenue streams that we've had time to be able to take some money off and stuff like that. So this summer, it'd be very interesting to see what the real plans are. Is Daniel Levy sort of happy to sort of sit there and be top 4? Because you hear Ange Postecoglou all season long talking about trying to change the mentality from just finishing inside top 4 to actually wanting to win stuff. You've heard other managers in the past talk about top 4 being good enough for Tottenham and stuff like that without actually having the ambition to go and win stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see what he decides to do this summer. Personally, I think if he doesn't go to back Ange, you know, the way he should, I think everyone's right to go after him, to be brutally honest. You know, for the first time in quite some time, we've got a manager that a lot of the fans are very happy with. You've got a good base on the field to be able to build off in terms of squad, the goalkeeper, the back line. You know, there's just some little bits and pieces in the midfield and the forward line to really sort out. So I think he'd be making a rod off his own back if he does not back him. But when things are going well is when Levy sort of tends to take his foot off the gas. It's only when things are gone wrong is when Levy actually tends to make his best decisions. So it'll be interesting to sort of see what happens this summer, but I think he has to back him. You know, you cannot get yourself into a sort of similar position where you were under Poch and not go and see that through. I don't want to see the likes of Nkudu and Ng's from the French league, who's no one's ever heard of before, coming into Tottenham Hotspur signings and stuff like that. You know, sprinkle that team with a couple of bits of star talent in there, and we should be able to push on next season. So let's wait and see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I was just trying to find out about the funding, but I can't find anything. But I know Manchester United, when they're talking about doing making Old Trafford, sort of rebuilding Old Trafford, they're getting a huge amount of money from the local council. So I would imagine Tottenham will be getting some sort of investment from Haringey Council, because it's developing the area and also bringing loads of jobs. But I'm sure we will find out sort of what sort of figure.
Okay, yeah. I'm 90% sure that they are.
They will be.
They won't cover the whole cost, though, right? The funding won't cover the whole cost of it, yeah.
No, it's just, and like you say, whether Enoch and Levy have got a separate sort of development fund that I would hope they have, that's not anything to do with the transfer budget, but we will see. Big up Rodney Roberts, who's just come in.
If you look at Destiny 5, you made a really good point there. Have a look what he said.
Where am I? If you can't feed this one, energy under Ange. I hear you. I mean, we have been here 1,000 times before, so I do understand people's reaction to why do people think Levy will change. But as we said yesterday, Jim and I live on hopium, so hopefully that will happen. There's been a lot of talk, Dave, about Sonny's new contract. Apparently, talk started quite a few weeks ago, and there's been no real positive sort of updates yet. Do you think it's a no-brainer that Sonny will stay, or are you worried that he might get tempted to go for a new challenge?
No, I think he'll stay at Tottenham Hotspur personally. I think he absolutely loves the club. He brings in way too much revenue in terms of, you know, the overseas fans that he brings, the money that they spend in the club shop and all that sort of jazz for Tottenham to let him go. Personally, you know what, son's 31, 32 years of age now. He ain't getting any younger, so it's going to be his last big contract, you would like to think. So for me, I think he's just trying to negotiate and get the very best out of it for himself that he can. But, you know, this guy signed on the dotted line when Real Madrid were rumoured to be interested when Harry Kane didn't. So I'd expect him to sign on the dotted line. I just think he's trying to get the best contract for himself personally. With it being his last big one, I don't blame him. I think this will probably be drawn out because he's not stupid. He knows the international fan base that he brings with him, the revenue that Tottenham are making off the back of him and stuff like that, and he probably wants a piece of it. Yeah,
Jimbo, I think you're in agreement. We did talk about this yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, look, people have said that Sonny's going to be sold for 100 million, and it's not going to happen in a million years. He brings too much revenue into the club, and he bleeds Tottenham. I mean, he loves this club. He really does love this club. He could have left a couple of times on big contracts with other teams, and he stayed. It's not going to happen. He will sign a new contract, and he will finish his career at Tottenham. I am 1,000,000% convinced of that.
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope Levy actually does break the bank and gives him what he deserves, really, because the money he brings into the club is phenomenal. And
but you've got to remember, Kate, not just from the foreign fan base, Korea and a lot of Australians love him, but the English people love him as well. You know, he's loved by us English people. I mean, so it's from all around the world, including this country, that he brings money into the club.
Yeah. Big up David Shire, just gifted a membership that went to Mark CFC. So big up to you, and big up to you, Mark. William Jr. says, big up, my man Dave. How are you?
Yeah, not too good. Not too bad. Not too bad. Just waiting for that North London derby to come around.
Oh, no, Dave. We'll have to arrange, because there's so many of us going, we're all going to meet up. So, yeah, we'll have to get details over to you. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'll probably be getting a 6 o'clock flight in. So, you know, I'll probably be down in Tottenham around 9, 10 o'clock, I'd say. So, I'll be up there early. So, you know, just text me, just give me a shout whenever you're up and around. And but just don't be too far away from the ground. I'm not doing a 2-mile walk to get to the ground and stuff.
I can't do that because of my legs. Because I've got fibre, I can't do it unless Jim's going to piggyback me. But we will be around the ground. Do not worry about that. We touched briefly on this when I was on your fan show, Dave, but I didn't really get your thoughts on it. What's your thoughts on the potential of signing Turbo Timo on a contract?
Look, when we first signed him, I wasn't really too happy about the signing because I don't think he solves a problem for us in terms of, someone who's absolutely deadly in front of goals. So I was a bit dubious about it. However, I do think, as the more games he sort of plays, the more effective he is becoming off that sort of left-hand side. But I look at it. Is he going to be a signing that's going to transform Tottenham's attack? I don't think he is. With Werner, I think you'll get some good games out of him. I think you'll get a burst of good games out of him. But then I also think if we sign him for a whole season, you get a period where he's not at it whatsoever. But my main problem with the guy is finishing. If you get him in good positions in front of goal, I don't think he's going to take it 9 times out of 10. So for me, although he's growing on me a little bit, he is growing on me. I'm not so sure whether he solves a problem for us permanently. I like him a lot to like Brennan Johnson in a way. Speed, pace, needs to be played in behind. Not blessed with great crossing, not blessed with great finishing and stuff like that. And he's at the tail end of his career. Personally, at where I'm at right now, he's still got time to change my mind. I wouldn't take up the option to buy him. However, I do feel like Tottenham will just because of the price. But just because it's cheap, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right for Tottenham.
Yep, I agree with that sentiment. Jimbo, what are your thoughts? I mean, when we first, a few weeks ago, we did it and I said keep him, you said get rid. Have you changed your mind?
No, I didn't say get rid. Don't put words into my mouth.
Oh, right, you said I'll have to see at the end of the season.
I said to you...
Don't go getting Larry.
I said to you, I'm kind of in the same boat as Dave, as in he's really grown on me. And I thought that when he come on the other day and we were losing, he was one of the bright sparks that really livened everybody up. But I'm in the boat of, I think it's too early to say. I want to see him the last 10 games. And if he shows something in the last 10 games, I think he's good for bringing off the bench. But I don't really want to say sign him because I don't think he's shown enough. We need to see the last 10 games.
I do hear the other argument, though. There is another argument out there, Jimbo, that if he's brought in as sort of like a squad player, the way someone like Gillen that is now, for instance, right? And we were to bring in genuine class over the summer ahead of that, okay, I can understand it. Is he better than the likes of Brian Hill and stuff like that off the basis of this season? You'd say yes. So, if he's brought in as that capacity, would I throw my arms up in the air? But if he's brought in to start at Tottenham, I don't know what direction we want to go in, to be brutally honest.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. But I think we will sign him. And I'm not unhappy about it. I like him. I think he's going to grow in confidence. I know he didn't get selected for Germany, but that's his ambition to get back in the national team. So he needs to work his socks off to get there. And I don't want him to be a starter, don't get me wrong, but I think as a squad player, he's better than some of what we've got. So, but people will say that's me being lacking ambition, but it might be. But I know how Tottenham work and he's cheap, and I think we could do worse.
Look, I personally think we're going to bring him in. I don't think we would have struck up that low with an option to buy if we weren't going to bring the guy in in the summer. I think he is going to come here whether we like it or not. Like I said, I just hope that's not the guy they're pinning their hopes on to transform this forward line because he's not that sort of guy. So for me, I think I'm just resigned to the fact that he probably will sign anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I read last night about Brennan Johnson playing for Wales. Apparently he was poor at best. He got a very negative review from, I don't know who it was. I can't remember who it was now. But yeah, they said he was very underwhelming. Another player, I mean, I don't know what to make of Brennan Johnson.
Look, I have my views on Brennan Johnson, and a lot of people think they're harsh. I hear people go, give him time, he's young. Guy's 22 years of age. He's more or less the same age as Gil Messi. You don't extend that to Gil. You don't call him young. You say it's time for him to move on and stuff like that. Apply that to Brennan Johnson. You look at Brennan Johnson. He's 22 years of age. People say you need time to settle in. Now, I've heard that in years gone by, and the players that I heard that about were never good enough to be at Tottenham Hotspur in the first place. You look at the likes of Van de Ven. same age. He doesn't need time to settle in, does he? You look at the likes of Adoji, 1 year younger. He didn't need time to settle in. You look into who else have we brought in there? There's a couple of other players, that have come in, hit the ground running. They don't need this time to settle in.
Yeah.
With Brennan Johnson, he was good at Forest because they were a counter-attacking team, and he had when he was put into the positions in attack, he had the whole half to run at. He didn't have bodies to play through. He didn't have to use his brain. Just see the sight of goal, use your pace, and get towards it. Different at Tottenham Hotspur when teams are playing low block against us. He's got nearly every 11 men behind the ball, and he does not possess the technical ability to be able to dance through a couple of them and create a bit of space. And if he doesn't have that, then you have to be a world-class crosser the ball. And he doesn't have that either. Brennan Johnson's best games for Tottenham has been when we've played him in down the sides when there's been space, high lines, like the Aston Villa game, high line that day and stuff like that. But the game after that, when we come up against team Fulham that sit low block, he doesn't have the answers. And for me, I look at the guy and I'm just gonna give my straight opinion. I don't think he's good enough. However, we've paid 50 million for him. We ain't cashing in on him this summer. We're just not. He's going to be here for a while, so I have to hope that he develops. But personally, I think there's too much lacking from his all-round game, especially when we come up next season against a lot more teams who will play that low block. I think there's a lot lacking from his games, and I do not like the excuses that he's young. He's 22 years of age. He's got 8 years left at the top of his career. That ain't young anymore, unfortunately, and I'm sick of hearing it. Stop making excuses for the guys. We don't make excuses for Van de Ven, Doji, and people like that.
Yeah, do you know what? I can't disagree with what you said. I mean, I did say on your stream, I'd rather keep Werner and get rid of Johnson if we could get our money back for one or the other, because I just see more in Werner's game. Jimbo, what's your thoughts on what Dave said and Brennan Johnson?
Well, Dave's 100% right, and we're not going to be selling him. We haven't bought him for 50 million to sell him for 30 million or 25 million. So he's going to be here. But I mean, I think that he will be replaced in the sense of I think that this summer we'll buy another winger, and I think he'll be on the bench. I'm pretty sure of that. I know I said it yesterday, but I really believe that they've got their players worked out who they want, and they're working on them. So they come straight, they get them straight in. Ange likes his players in early in the window. He doesn't like to leave it late. So I think that it's all sorted, and I think that he will be a bench warmer next season.
Yeah, 50 million for a bench warmer is a little bit concerning, but Dave is actually wearing the Irish football kit, which I didn't know either, but I don't really follow international football that much. I'm not very patriotic like that.
Yeah, it's last year's away jersey.
Last year's away one. What was that, Jimbo?
Someone put, why is Dave wearing a Chelsea kit?
I know, as if that had ever happened. What was I going to say? I started a couple of comments. Rodney says if we bring in Morgan Gibbs-White, Johnson will improve. I mean, there's another story out today saying that Ange is desperate for Morgan Gibbs-White. There seems to be sort of a lot of people reporting on the same story, which don't necessarily mean there's any truth in it at all. But, Dave, any thoughts on him? I mean, he's not going to be cheap.
Look, first of all, he's the guy we should have got out of Forest if we were looking for anybody.
Yeah.
Look, when it comes to Morgan Gibbs-White, this is a guy that I think when he was a teenager, he played against us. I think it was under Jose Mourinho for Wolves. And he played us off the park. He's the best player on the pitch. You could see the talent then. I think he's gone to Forest. I think he's done very well at Forest. I just like the guy. Anytime he gets the ball, he's my sort of player. He wants to get on the ball, get turned and run and make things happen. Too many times I see players nowadays, and Maddison's one of these lately, and it's really annoying me. Drops deep to get the ball, then passes it back and jogs off again. Now, if I'm a player and I'm dropping deep to get the ball, it's with one purpose, because I'm sick of everyone else shirking responsibility, not trying to make things happen. So I'm dropping deep to get on the ball, get turned, and try and make things happen. It's my job as a creative midfielder. And I just think sometimes Maddison doesn't have that in him. And I think that's why he'll struggle to go to the Euros at the end of the season in England. You look at the way Jude Bellingham affects games from midfield every single week. Phil Foden every single week. Maddison is not at that level. Gibbs-White, when I watch him for Forest, every single week he tries. And I just feel if you put me in a better team with good players running off him and stuff like that, I think you'll see a much better player. And we have to look in the homegrown market this summer. You look at our squad, it's one of the weakest parts of this squad. Yes, if you sell a couple of, players that qualify as foreign registration to the squad, you free up one or two spots there. But it's the homegrown part that we really need to sort of get right. And the reason why I say that is because you have to have it for the Premier League. You have to have it for the Champions League or European football. And that's where our Achilles heels come in. We do not have a good homegrown squad. And unfortunately, you look at the likes of Man City. Why do they go out and spend big money on some of the English players? Because they know there will come a time where they have to rely on it, you know, and they have to make up an extra 10 bodies in the squad, or 8 to 10 bodies in the squad in terms of Premier League registration. That's huge numbers to be able to rely on. So I wouldn't write the Morgan Gibbs White one off yet. There's been long outstanding interest there.
Yeah, Jimbo, what do you think? I think someone said yesterday it'd be about 50 million. I don't know if that's true, but that's, again, a massive amount of money.
It won't be a big fee. I think Forest paid a massive fee for him, 35 million or something.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Gibbs White?
Yeah, I like him. So I said that yesterday to you, didn't I? I like him. He's a strong player, and I like him because someone said about his work rate. I think his work rate's fantastic. He works hard. I love an hard worker, Dave. Somebody who puts himself about, and he does. Yeah, I'm on board for him coming, definitely.
Yeah, quite possibly.
You don't seem too excited, Kate.
No. I'm never excited until it happens, because we get linked to everyone, and then we get someone that's like the Primark version of that player. So I'll be pleased if we get him, but I'm not overly optimistic. We'll see. You know what I'm like, Dave. I'm not negative. I'm just a bit more reserved than Jimbo. Jimbo likes to go all out and say we're going to get him and we'll win the league. And I wish I could be like that. But
I think he's the type of player that we could get, Kate, without too much trouble.
We could get him, but I don't want to get him and then have 2 players that I've never heard of that are like 18 and one's for the future. You know, that's what concerns me. We need to get some good names in through the door.
What I would say on that quickly is I do think we have to trust Paratici's recruitment, you know, what he's done. You know, I was out here, I went early on Paratici, and I said, this guy's going to be good for the football club. And there was a lot of pushback, a lot of backlash against it at the time and stuff. But I think as time's gone on, you see the players that we're looking at on the football pitch now. You know, you've got a squad that actually care for the club, a squad that actually want to run about for the fans, a squad that looks angry when we lose instead of coming out making excuses and blaming all the other things around them and stuff like that. And I think, you know, for instance, David Ray in the summer, right? Everyone was saying, pay the 40 million, no brainer, this, that, and the other. Well, we paid half that for Vicario. And for me, Vicario is a much better keeper all around in terms of distribution, agility, the saves and stuff like that. And I think I think one thing we've learned with Paratici, it's not how much you spend, it's what you spend it on. Yeah. And we've got a lot of it right under Paratici. So although people, you know, you may not get, you know, all these, you know, fancy names, £100 million signings, which to be honest, I'd like 1 or 2. I think, you know, that would really elevate us. I don't think it's going to happen. So just because they're not players that maybe we haven't all heard of or everyone doesn't have a good extensive knowledge on, I would still trust Paratici's recruitment because he's got enough in the bag to show me that he has got it right.
Yeah. I remember you saying about Paratici, and I was a bit on the fence, and I think you've been proved right, Dave, in what you've said without any shadow. Martin Knightsbridge with a super chat saying, nice to see Dave turn up this week.
Oh, nightmare, lad. Honestly, right? After last week, so, right, I got on, I popped out, grabbed the coffee and that, got back. Go to come on. It's slow. So I was late getting on in the first place. Eventually got on. Then my internet was just like, I couldn't even hear what you guys were saying or anything. So I said, I'll pop out, pop back in. Went to turn off the internet box, turn it back on. Internet box is gone. And then I had to wait like 4 days. And then I was sent around different departments to try and get someone out here. And I was about to just throw my computer through the window. I'm not going to lie. I was so angry.
Well, better late than never, Dave, as they say. Everything happens for a reason. And big up to Rakdos as well. We've gifted a membership that went to Eugene. So big up to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So kind and generous. Afternoon, Stuart. Yeah, Dave, look, you've got to pay your bills. That's what it is. You've got to pay that broadband bill.
Oh, believe me, the bill's paid. I pay it every single month, my man. Don't worry about that. And I pay it because I know I have to rely on my internet.
Yeah. Exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, Ben's saying we need a marquee signing, a Declan Rice level signing who will improve everyone. I mean, to be fair, Arsenal have bought in Declan Rice and he's slotted in and he's made him look the complete package for me. He's made such a difference. Do you agree? And who would you like as a marquee signing, Dave, if you could choose someone realistically to bring in?
Look, I'm with Ben. I have said before, on my own channel and stuff like that, I would like us to sign a marquee sign. I remember Ange came out and said he'd rather 250 million signings over 100 million signing, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think sometimes when you do pay that extra money, and especially if you've identified the right player, you're getting that mentality, you're getting that little sort of level of class, you're getting that guy that comes in and elevates everyone around them, a bit like what Ben is saying there with Declan Rice. For me, I think what we need is someone in the number 6 that has a passing range. At the end of last season, I wanted James Ward-Prowse in here to pick up the ball in deep positions and start, spraying the ball around. I think that's what we miss right now. The reason why we're having to play through teams every single time, try and play through the middle and stuff like that, is we don't have that guy with that passing range that can pick up the ball, get his head up, spot Werner 50 yards in behind, put it on his feet and stuff like that. So for me, I think we really needed someone like a deep-lying playmaker to come in here and be that guy.
Yeah. Anyone in mind who you'd love to bring in? I mean, we asked, and we had Grealish thrown in, we had Eze, we had Paulinho thrown in, Zubimendi. Is there a dream signing for you, Dave?
In that position, see, I did want James Ward-Prowse because he solves a lot of problems, set pieces, good passing and stuff like that. But we ain't getting him out of West Ham. I did want Tonali before he ended up at Newcastle as well. Good job we didn't buy him in the end, actually, because he wouldn't have been missing for half the season. What are their names? I did have 2 names there last week. I just can't remember them. They'll come back to me throughout the show randomly. So if you hear me blurt out 2 random names, that's what it is.
Spurs TCTV member for 2 months says, show the love and hit the lights. Thank you. Rodney says, Dave, what do you think about Gallagher coming over? What's your view? Me personally, nah. Another one that's growing. There seems to be news about us getting Gallagher every single day. Thoughts, Dave?
Part of me wants it to happen just so we can turn around and say to Chelsea, we signed your captain. Now shut up, little boys. But look, I like Gallagher. I think I like what I've seen at Palace. I like what I've seen at Chelsea in terms of, and I can understand why Postecoglou wants him. He's all action, all energy. He's confident on the ball and stuff. However, what we lack is players that stand up in the big games, in the big moments. Gallagher ain't that guy. You look at him for the cup final in Chelsea, done everything up until it. Cup final, spurned a couple of good chances, stuff like that. He's done the same for England in games that I've watched them. I'm just not sure he solves the problem for me in terms of when the big games come around. And I think that's where you need to scrap Conor Gallagher and go and spend that extra bit of money, bring someone in, and they will deliver in the big games.
Yeah, I agree completely as well.
What's your thoughts on Gallagher? Jim, do you want him?
I like Gallagher, Dave. I really do because of the way he plays. I really admire the way he plays. But do you know what? The chat kind of put me off him because there's so many against it, and I'm thinking maybe I'm missing something. But when I see him play, Dave, I just love the way he plays. I really do. And you're right, he did a couple of easy chances in the final.
And you like someone who works hard, and he does work hard, but he just don't seem to do enough with it for me.
I do love a player that works his arse off because it
that's
shows.
Why you like Richie.
Well, yeah, I do love Richie, right? But I just think if you've got hard-working players, right, it means they want to be there and they want to play for the club, And Richie's not as bad as you make out, Kate. I'm sorry, but he's not.
Just on Gallagher, look, I can understand it, Jim. Like, he does work hard. There is a lot to like about the guy, except for his hair. But look, for me, it's just, I just don't think he solves a problem when the big games come around. And that's the sort of level we need to be looking at next. When it comes to Gallagher as well, there's a lot of spotlight on him this season because he's the only player putting in the effort for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. If everyone else was around it, he wouldn't even be starting. If everyone else was at it around him, he wouldn't even be starting in that Chelsea team. That's the harsh reality of it. So, look, I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram if we sign him. Like Jim, I do like players that work hard, that graft, that grind, and have a little bit of quality to go with it as well. But I'm also looking at that player that's going to take us to the next level. We let one go last summer, and that needs to be replaced, unfortunately.
He was outstanding for Palace, Dave. He was so good there.
Yeah, but maybe that's his level, Jim. Maybe that is his level. Sorry. I'm ruthless. I know. Big up, Bobby K. Thanks for the super chat.
Cheers,
This
Bobby.
is a good question. Ben says, Richie or Lukaku? Jimbo, I'll go to you first. Look at Dave's face.
Richie. I'm going Richie.
Yeah, I like Richie K. I can't just change my mind because someone stuck another name there. I like Richie. I like the way Richie plays, and I think what a lot of people don't get with Richie, right, is that you've got to remember he's come off the bench a lot of games, right, and he's been taken off a lot of games. Dave, I think if he had a real good run, I mean, he scored 9 goals in 10 games, right? He scored 13 goals for us, is it, Kate, altogether this season, and I just like him, and I think if he gets the good run that he did have, he will score goals. You know, the only thing I can say bad about Richie's not a player when he's got time to think, he messes up. It's when he hasn't got time to think, it's instinctive that he puts the ball in the net.
Dave, go on.
Look, I do like Richie. In terms of Lukaku, I think he's. I just don't like his character and stuff like that. I don't like what he done at Chelsea, forced his move back to Inter and all that sort of stuff. You give me Lukaku when he was at West Brom, banging in the goals and stuff like that all day long. But Lukaku of late, nowhere near it. When it comes to Richarlison, I do think there's an unfair sort of narrative around Richarlison. First of all, everyone expects him to be Harry Kane. The parts that they give out about him is his hold-up play. Can he, he can't play others into play. That's everything that Harry Kane done. How many times we put the ball into Harry Kane, he spins, plays Sonny in behind.
Yeah.
Son's also missing that, especially off the left-hand side. Someone that can take the ball in, get turned and put him in behind and stuff like that. And whether people like it or not, subconsciously, we've seen Harry Kane for more than about a decade at Tottenham Hotspur. People are naturally just going to compare him to what they used to see Harry Kane do. But when it comes to Richarlison this season, everyone's throwing their toys out the pram. He's useless. He's this. He's not offering anything. Okay. Son is the only other player in double digits this season in terms of goals alongside Richarlison. So if you're going to praise Son for the season he's having, how are you not praising Richarlison for the season he's having? Also, Richarlison has played less minutes down the middle than Son has. And he's not too far off Son's stats either. And he's played a lot less minutes down the middle than what Son has this season. Everyone puts the first 10 games down to Sonny. It was Richarlison that came off the bench against Sheffield United that changed the game and scored in that 10 games. Richarlison played up front for the first couple of games of that game as well. Everyone blames the run after the Chelsea game, all on Richarlison. Sonny had a run of 4 to 5 games through the middle after that Chelsea game. We switched it because we couldn't get Son into play. We couldn't find Son. So we put Richarlison back up the middle to use Son for his creativity. I think there's a very unfair narrative surrounding Richarlison. I get it. Last season, he didn't perform. But there was people out there telling you injuries, stuff like that. Since he's had his surgery, I don't think anyone can argue with some of the performances that he's put in. He works hard. He gives you a different option in the box. When you've got Son up front against teams that play 5 at the back or 3 big centre halves and stuff, you can't find Son. You can't get him into the game, But when you've got Richarlison in there, it gives you the option to put the balls in the box, let him go and attack it, gives you a different avenue and stuff like that. And I think that's the part people miss with Richarlison. He gives you a different option to Son. He allows you to cross the ball. Son doesn't. No one can sit here and tell me Son's best attribute is going to win a header. It's not. Son's worst attribute is his strength and his braveness. He won't go. He's not good enough. He's not strong enough to hold people off. How many times does he get dispossessed when the ball comes into him? When he has his back to play and stuff like that. You have to get Son the ball when he's in a forward motion, when he's running at players. And Richarlison gives you that different option. So for me, I think even if people want to bring in another striker here this season, learn from lessons in the past when we've only had Harry Kane. Keep Richarlison and add someone to that. So get off Richarlison's back. Prue.
Get in there, Dave.
Big up, Jack. Your partner in crime's in the house. Said Richie's scoring so much he ain't even taking his shirt off anymore. For me, if it was based on goal scoring, I'd take Lukaku all day long. However, I do when I watch Richie play at times, he's all over the pitch. He wins balls back. I think he's got something to offer to this team. I just don't think he's clinical enough in front of goal. I
take that argument. I take that argument all day. I agree with you. But that's why you bring someone else in here to compete with him.
Yeah, but what I will say, Dave, is I said to Jim, a few months ago, we've got to sell him. But now I look at it and I think, look, if you can have a striker that is a backup to Sonny, if you like, a squad player that can get 15 to 20 goals a season, there's not many of them out there, really, that will be prepared to play second fiddle.
We should never have sold Kane. I tried to highlight it's more than the goals you're selling. It's the hold-up play, the link-up play with Sonny and everything else. Should never have sold Kane, ever. And I'd argue, if we did take the gamble to keep him this season, he would have signed on the dotted line under Ange Postecoglou, for sure.
Jim's always said that, hasn't he, Jimbo?
Yeah.
He definitely chose the wrong time to go, I think.
Everyone wants Harry Kane, but everyone wanted to let Harry Kane go in the summer. I don't get it. And what I mean by Harry Kane, they want a guy that's clinical, going to buy you 20, 30 goals a season, but then they were okay to let him walk away in the summer, so I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, I did a poll, who would you rather, and Richie came out with 76% of the votes, and Lukaku came out with 24%. So I think it's clear that the thing is with
I
Lukaku...
don't think Richie gets enough credit, Kate. I really don't.
No, probably not. But he does miss some absolute sitters, Jim. I'm sorry. I know Werner does. I know Johnson does. But and unfortunately for Richarlison, it's not fair. But he is always going to be compared to Harry Kane because he was brought in. Harry Kane's gone, and we need someone to step up. But he's never going to be that guy. And like I say, to have a second striker that can score you 15 to 20 goals, there's not that many about. There really isn't. So it's just, let's hope that he can do that. 15 to 20. He's on. Yeah. Is he 10 in the Premier League? He's on. I think he's 10.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Right, we all give out about our wingers, right? How many people have given out about Brennan Johnson this season? How many people have given out about Timo Werner? How many people have their frustrations with Kulu, despite me trying to tell people how hard he actually works for the team and stuff, what he offers? If we had better wingers and we put him in more goal scoring opportunities, probably have more goals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so I don't put the blame on Richie, but let's talk about the wingers. They don't provide enough chances. They don't provide enough quality chances either.
When I went on with Ben and Sim, they said to me, you're slagging Richie off, but would you rather sell Richie, get a new striker, or get better wingers? And I said better wingers, without any shadow. Our wingers are terrible, in my opinion. They don't cross the ball in enough. I mean, we all know Richie's good with his head, but he doesn't get the opportunities. But we've got to get, in my opinion, we've got to get a minimum of 2 new wingers that's in the summer. But whether it will happen, I don't know. We need to remember, Kane is a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent. Yeah, exactly true. And that's why it's hard on Richarlison in that way. Ben says, I think we're so desperate to see Richie do well. We're not seeing the basic facts. He doesn't suit the team. He doesn't score enough goals. He works, Ben, he does work his nuts off to get the ball back. And he does, I mean, he's not doing bad for goals.
What's the basic facts, though? I'm struggling to see what the basic facts are.
Yeah, Ben, explain what you mean. Because I don't really understand.
I'd also put it the other way. I think people just already have their preconceived opinions of Richarlison, and they're, again, refusing to see the basic facts. Outside Son, you look at someone who's going to contribute. Who scored the goals when Son went to represent Korea in the Asian Cup? Richarlison. Yeah. So you're talking about someone stepping up, and you're talking about denying basic facts. There you are.
Yeah. I mean, Ben says never scored more than 13 in a season.
He's going to beat that this season.
He's going to beat that this season. Well,
100%. 100%.
But he was playing at Everton and Watford, 2 relegation teams. So you'd argue, 12 to 13 goals in them teams is good enough.
I said that to you, Kate.
Yeah, you did. I mean, Dave, with regards to Dane Scarlett, I don't like him, but I got a lot of people were surprised. I don't see anything that really inspires me that he's going to do anything. Am I missing something? Do you think he can do something for the first team?
Personally, I think we've mishandled his development completely. I feel sorry for the guy. He's been unfortunate. He was given a couple of opportunities under Conte, I think, in the Europa League. But, some of the players around them, like, you look at the back line and stuff like that, could barely progress the ball in a lot of them games and stuff like that. And then some of the low moves we put them out onto, this is one of my biggest bugbearers with some of these guys coming through. And it's been a problem for a long time. I'd argue the low moves we source for our players this year have been somewhat a lot better than what we have in the past for some of our youngsters. But we sent Dane Scarlett out to teams where You know, they just don't play the way we play. We do stuff like that. And for me, I feel sorry for the kid. He's come back to Tottenham. He's had a couple of appearances off the bench and stuff like that. I mean, I watched the the training there a few weeks ago when they had that live and stuff. He was shit hot in the finishing department and stuff like that. Sadly, I think maybe his time is gone. You know, I think you've got Valise hanging around there. You've got Donnelly. You know, what are they going to do with Troy Parrott this summer and stuff like that? There's a lot of competition for players in and around that age. So let's wait and see what happens. But I struggle to see where Scarlett's going to get the minutes to prove himself personally.
I agree. Jim, do you agree, or do you think there's a place for him?
Yeah, I think he's missed the boat. I think he's, and I'm not saying it's his fault, but I can't see him being brought into the team.
Yeah, I agree. Completely
but I'm also
agree
with you, Kate, that I've not seen anything in him that makes me think, wow.
Yeah. We need someone more. We need more than someone that works hard. We need a proper quality frontman, and we need better wingers. Yeah, but haven't we got the proper quality frontman in Sonny? Or is he not a proper quality frontman? I mean,
everyone's trying to shoehorn this guy to be a striker. He's never been a striker in his life. He's always played off the left-hand side. People won't speak about it. The reason why he's not getting the numbers off the left-hand side this season compared to seasons gone by is not because of his age. Nothing to do with it. It's because you don't have Harry Kane there. And I tried to highlight this in the summer. The link-up play that him and Kane had, you know, he knew as soon as Kane got the ball, go. You don't need to come short and drop in to receive it. Just bloody go. Kane will find you. That's the real reason why he ain't producing off the left-hand side this season, because he doesn't have Kane there to help him with the numbers. And whether people like it or not, I think I'm talking shit. Go and do your research.
Yeah, you're right. Sonny's good at striker depending on the opponent. He's not a number 9. Sonny is not strong enough. Kane only got a chance because at the time we didn't have any strikers. Yeah, I hate that argument though, because I don't see anything in Scarlett that shows me that he's anything to do with anywhere near as good as Harry Kane. But Eugene's asking, would we take Amrabat? Hasn't he only just gone to Manchester United? Are they looking at getting rid of him already? Yeah, I mean, he's not done anything, is he, since he's gone there?
Do you know what? Before he joined United, I would have said, hands down, go and get me Amrabat. I mean, what was it? In Europa, that final he played against West Ham, he's absolutely outstanding that night. You know, I seen that guy going across on his knees just to try and win a ball. It was, you know, that I like that. But since he's gone to United, he hasn't hit the ground running. Now, is that because of the problems Man United have, and he's just been another one who's gone in there and his performances levels are nowhere near it? Like you look at likes of Fernandes, Hot and Cold, and people like that. You know, as he suffered because he's gone into a destabilized sort of situation at Man United, it's hard to know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Man United at the minute, well, there's nothing to scream about right now. Also, Mark CFC says, any of you go for Callum McGregor from Celtic? Oh, Dave's saying no.
Look, he's a good player for the Scottish League and stuff like that. I can understand why Mark CFC is maybe speaking about, you know, he was absolutely brilliant under Ange Postecoglou and stuff like that. Good passer of the ball, good engine, you know, and good. He works hard, he fights hard and stuff like that. But no, I wouldn't take him. I'd rather, if we were going to Celtic, get me Matt O'Reilly.
Yeah. Good player. I mean, Joey says, is any of us on the Ange out train if we lose to Luton? Jimbo, I'll go to you first.
I can't even believe you've gone to me, because that's just such a silly question to me. It's going to take a lot for me to be on the Ange train and to be out of the Ange train, because he's only just got here. We've got to give the guy some time to build his squad. Once he's built his squad and we've got a season with his squad, and then we'll see if we do crap then. But no, of course not. I'm on the front seat, baby. Next year, we're winning the league.
Dave.
Unfortunately, I'm on the front seat right beside Jimbo. I think Ange out is madness, to be brutally honest. I get some of the questions around him being naive and stuff like that, but I think, again, I think people are being naive asking him to change. When he was manager of Celtic and Real Madrid come to town when they were at the back of all the European championships, he didn't change. And for 45 minutes, he gave them a right bloody good go. Yeah. He ain't going to change. You know, if he didn't change when Madrid came to town, he ain't changing for anybody. It's that simple. the reason why Ange doesn't change is because he has to come in, he has to get the players to adapt to what he wants. If he starts chopping and changes like other managers have done towards other players' abilities and stuff like that, that's why shit players are allowed to stay. That's why they're allowed to throw managers under the bus and stuff like that. Ange won't do that. And by doing this season, going into next season where we really should be excited and hopefully challenging for a couple of cup competitions and stuff like that, he has to know who's good enough to be with him and who is with him and who's not. And by sticking to his guns, that's the only way he'll find out. But chopping and changing, you go into next season, chances are you still have Ben Davies as your left back up to Destiny Udogie. If he didn't give him, his opportunities this season at left back, Palace, Fulham, we got our answer. Van de Ven spent all night playing left back for him. So he has to stick by his philosophy. If he starts chopping and changing, he'll be out the door just as quick as other managers were. And let's be brutally honest, as Tottenham fans, I get the frustration around the club. When any manager that comes in now, they automatically take on the burden that we haven't won anything. But that has to go towards owners. And you have to realise that Ange Postecoglou has come in here. He's given fans a lot of what they want in terms of the style of football, all that sort of stuff. Is it the finished article? No. But listen to what he's telling you. He's telling you, I need 3 transfer windows to make it my squad. Stuff like that. So it makes no sense. We haven't had a manager in the dugout for a full season since Mauricio Pochettino. That's relegation stuff. We had 3 managers last season. Relegation teams have 3 managers. That can't continue. If Man City sat Guardiola after the first season when that wasn't what it was supposed to be, would Man City have gone on to have what they have? If Liverpool sat Jurgen Klopp after the first season, would they have gone on to win what they did? Every cup competition in club football. Arsenal under Arteta, if they sacked him, would they have got into title races and stuff like that? And what that tells me is if you've got owners who believe in a project and believe they have the right people in place, you back it even through the hard times. Chopping and changing managers ain't going to get us anywhere. What got us into the situation in the first place is you had some left from Pochettino's squad, some left from Jose's squad, some left from Conte's squad and stuff like that. And any manager that comes in is working with a squad with four or five different previous regimes. In order for us to get to where we need to go to, we have to give a manager time and let him build his squad. I get it. Time is of the essence for all of us. We want trophies. Every year that goes on, it heightens the tensions around the football club. But put that where it needs to go, which is towards the owners, and give Ange his opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Jim, I don't know if you saw Joey Barton said we didn't give Nuno that much time. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, I agree with Dave, and I think the whole Ange out thing is a ridiculous thing to say. And I've heard that if we sign Timo Werner, people are going to be full Ange out. I've seen all sorts of headlines. I just think it's crazy because all we're going to do is go in the same cycle we've been going in for years and years. Jimbo, what's your thoughts?
Well, I agree with everything. I agree with everything Dave said, apart from one thing. He said we'll be fighting for a couple of trophies. No, Dave. The minimum, the treble's coming, baby. The treble's coming.
You know what? You and Kuva would be great together.
Do you know what, Dave? I've had them both on. It made my brain hurt. I've never known two such optimistic people in my life.
I could picture you lying down after with a cold flannel across the head, taking some paracetamol.
That's exactly what happened.
I love the two guys. I love it.
Yeah, cool. So you need the yin to the yang, and Jim is always like that about everything in life, which is a great way to live.
I support Tottenham Hotspur, right? I don't support Arsenal. I don't support City. I don't support Liverpool. So I'm going to say my team's going to win, right? I'm going to believe my team's going to win. I'm not going to believe another team's going to win. We are winning.
Okay, Jimbo. Would we take Ross Barkley for a year if Luton goes down? His experience could be back up for Maddison if Gibbs White is too expensive. Jimbo, I'll ask you first because your name's on it.
No.
No? Okay.
No, because we're building a squad and he's at the end of his days. We don't want to be taking players like that, do we? I mean, let's be honest. Well, I mean, we it's just not the way to go. And I don't think Ange is the way Ange wants to go either. So, no.
Dave, what are your thoughts on Ross Barkley?
I like Ross Barkley when he came through at Everton. I like what he's doing at Luton, but when he went to Chelsea, he sold himself out for the money, even though it wasn't the right move for his career and stuff like that. I'm with Jim. Personally, I would stay away. I think we need to be looking elsewhere. Plus, I
Yeah.
don't think Daniel Levy's going to sign, and we don't really sign players, towards the tail end of their careers at all. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Big up, Jose. Good to see you. Is believing in the impossible not delusional? But it's not impossible, is it? And it's not impossible. It might be highly unlikely, but it isn't impossible. So, I say believe. If you want to believe, believe.
What do you want me to come in and say at the beginning of the season when you do your first stream? Right? What do you want me to say? Oh, I think Man City are going to win the league. Bollocks! We're winning the league. That's what I'm going to say. You can call me delusional.
Look,
you can call me what you like.
The way I see it, support the club the way you want. You shouldn't be told the way to support the club. Let James support the club the way he wants, and then you support the club the way you want. It shouldn't be an issue.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Hi guys in chat. I'd love to see Gio, Benny, and Pierre start against Luton. Matters. Papo Matisal and Biss didn't play well against Fulham, and it will keep them on their toes, keep them chomping at the bit. Oh, Dave, what's your thoughts on that? Changing midfield pretty much completely.
Look, second part about, having the right changes, chomping, keeping the players chomping at the bit, I think it would suit Basuma very well. I don't think you'd see the up and down nature if you had that guy snapping at his heels. James Maddison, I guarantee you would have came back from injury a lot better than what he has done if he had someone snapping at his heels. And I think that's a huge problem with Papo Matisal. I think it's his first bad game this season. So let's give the guy a break. He's been our best midfielder this season, our most competent, what's the right word? Consistent midfielder this season. So get off Papo Matisal's back. In terms of Gio, he had his opportunity. How long was Maddison out injured for? The guy couldn't stay fit. And the minutes he doesn't do enough with. Again, he doesn't affect the game. He's another one that comes on, does the sideways pass and looks pretty, jogs off. I'm sick of players like that. I want players that want to go and win a game of football. I want players that, want to excite the crowd and stuff like that. Where's that gone in this modern day and age? I used to berate Harry Winks for sitting there doing 5-yard passes and being negative on the ball. So I certainly don't want to see Giovanni Lo Celso. And we've got to stop doing this as well. How long has Giovanni Lo Celso been at Tottenham? He's had more than enough opportunities to prove himself. I'm not going to sit here and beg for him, please, Gio, come back and play for me. I'm not going to do it. We've paid the transfer fee. We've given you the money, more money than what you were at when we bought you. You haven't done it. Fuck off out my football club and get me in someone else that is going to do it. You look at, there's no excuse for it. You look at Adoji Papo Matisal, who are on minuscule contracts, and the performances they put in, and now they've got their reward by signing on the dotted line and getting more money and stuff like that. There's no excuse for someone like Giovanni Lo Celso. I also don't want to hear anybody tell me to give Ndombele another chance this summer either. It ain't happening. I'm sick of these guys. They're from an old era where people came to Tottenham and took the absolute piss out of the football club. And I don't want them anywhere near the team. I didn't even want to be kept this summer at all, but I understand why Poch did. In terms of Højbjerg, he's another one I think there's a bit of an unfair narrative around. When I look at him coming off the bench this season, he's done well. The argument comes is when he started games, he hasn't looked as good. The reason why he looks better off the bench is because he got more time and space on the ball and he can start spraying things around and he can see things. But when he starts game, teams are at him nice and early and he sometimes gets caught. But look, by all means, he's on his way out of the club this summer anyway, so I ain't going to sit here and defend the guy anymore.
Jimbo, he feels exactly the same as you about
Gio.
You
know what, Dave? You've just said exactly what I said the other day, right? He come to this club, and how many years has he been here? And what has he done for this club? He's done nothing except take a wage, a big wage as well. So piss off out of our club.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Someone did say, actually, it's an Arsenal fan, Vindaloo, said that Sarr is the glue, and I agree. I think he's our most consistent midfielder this season and incredible. But I wouldn't have Gio ever in a Spurs shirt again if I could help it. I just think he's a lazy. His attitude stinks. So
there's no excuses made for these guys. Oh, you need to play them as a number 10. You need to play him as a number 8. You need to play him in a deep line position. At the end of the day, if the guy was good enough, you'd be able to play any of the 3 positions. I grew up in an era where it didn't, if you were a midfielder, you were probably the best on the team in terms of all-ground game, in terms of being able to do defensive work and be good on the ball and stuff like that. When it comes to Gio, stop making excuses for the guy. It doesn't matter where you play him. He ain't cutting the mustard. End of. And if you have to play a player in a certain position, it shows he ain't a good enough player and he's not smart enough either. That he can't comprehend playing in other positions.
Ellie's asking you to defend Højbjerg. Not that we've said anything about Højbjerg. I mean, I believe he'll be out the club as well in the summer. But his
words that came out today didn't read too well, I must say. Where he sort of said he's not very happy with what's going on, and you need to ask Ange why I'm not playing. So I'd say that's probably puts an end to it all.
Is that what he said? I haven't seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, he scored last night, I believe, in his international game, but I didn't know that he'd said that about Ange. Yeah, it says. I mean, he's going to be going, isn't he?
Well, when you're saying things like that, you already know you're leaving, right?
Exactly. And I mean, there was a game that I don't know if we won or we lost or we drew now, but he walked straight down the tunnel, didn't come over to see the fans. We won. Yeah, I don't think his heart's been in it for a while now.
It was a big game as well, Kate, and he come on for the last 5 minutes or something, 10 minutes. He didn't even celebrate. He just walked straight down the tunnel.
He also said, you know, he hasn't been happy for large parts of this season, and it's been no secret and stuff like that. So I think there's something that's gone on behind the scenes there between him and Ange Postecoglou. Personally, I think he's been going to Ange while I'm not playing. I don't think he's been happy with the answers. Maybe I'm just hazarding a guess, but people go and read his quotes and you know, make out of it what you will.
Yeah. Chelsea boy, I'll take this for straight away. Saying not in a million years. I think he's absolutely crap. I don't know if you think any different than me, Dave, but I think Broja is dreadful.
Do you know, he done all right at Southampton that time he was there on loan and stuff like that. But look, he's not the striker we need at Tottenham Hotspur. You know, we need someone that is just absolutely clinical in front of goal, but has a good all-round game to him as well. I don't think Broja is the answer, personally.
I think actually Richarlison is more clinical than he is. So I never thought I'd say that, but there you go. Big up the pigeon. A lot of people are saying this. Get Eze and Kulu sell. I'm guessing you don't agree with this, Dave, because you're a big Kulu fan.
Look, I like Kulu. I wouldn't say I'm a big Kulu fan. Maybe I am. Look, when it comes to Kulusevski, I think what a lot of people, you know, when we had Harry Kane, we could put the ball into Harry Kane to hold it up. That's what we now do with Kulusevski. And not only that, Kulusevski works hard. He tracks back a lot of the time and helps out Pedro Porro down that side. But he's the only ball carrier in the team we have that can pick up the ball from deep and drive us up the other end of the football pitch. Look, I have my frustrations like other people in terms of, you know, sometimes what he does on the football. But for a large part of this season, he was the best player in the Premier League in terms of creating chances from open play. He created more than anybody, more than Salah and people like that. So, look, for me, people can be a Kulu denier, but I think you have to look at his all-around game and really sort of do it in great detail and really see what he offers at Tottenham Hotspur. But don't get me wrong, I would like to see him be a bit more clinical in the final third, but I do think that will come. We've already seen it when he first arrived, that he can be that guy. So it's just about getting him back to that. But look, I've made an argument all summer long. I've made this argument since preseason. That forward line doesn't look right. There's no fluidity to it, you know, and stuff like that. And I maintain that. And I think, you know, I think everyone's suffering from it. You know, Richarlison could have had more goals if there's better wingers. Kulu, if you had better players running off him and more clinical players, his stats would be up. You know, for instance, you look at his assist. I think earlier on in the season, there was 3 put on the plate for Richarlison, and Richarlison missed all 3. If he took them, you'd be talking about a different Kulu because his stats look better and stuff like that. So for me, I definitely don't think Kulu's the problem, no.
So do you think Kulu's good enough on the wing, Dave?
Yeah.
Do you really? Wow,
yeah,
maybe it's me. I don't like him on the wing at all. I just find him really slow and predictable. But I know his stats say something completely different, which says to me, am I missing something? I just don't see it.
Do you know what, though? I think we live in a day and age, Kate, where people think pace makes a player. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why Usain Bolt never got a contract when he looked to go and play professional football after sprinting, because pace doesn't make you a great player. You know, I grew up in an era where there's many players that didn't possess pace, but they knew how to use their body to give themselves an extra yard. You know, they had the technical ability, and Kulu has that in abundance. Kulu uses his body very similar to Harry Kane, the way he finds himself a yard, holds people off and stuff like that. Pace does not make a player. It just does not. There's plenty of players out there. Bergwijn, great pace. Guy couldn't do anything. Couldn't get the ball in control 9 times out of 10. Lucas Moura, phenomenal pace. But how many times do we actually see him use that to his benefit? You know? So for me, pace doesn't make a player. It's not all about pace when it comes to Kulusevski. You got to look at the other things that he does. You know, Pirlo wasn't possessed with great pace, but people talk about him being one of the best centre midfielders in the world, right? Harry Kane wasn't blessed with great pace. People talk him about being the best striker in the world. His pace doesn't make a player.
This makes me laugh, Pottermat. You've got to give credit to Dave. He's mentioned Kane 58 times already. That's called consistency and why we love the Irish Hotspur.
Look, everyone moans about the forward line, but they don't want to say why it's not nowhere near as good this season, because You know, most people said they wanted to sell Harry Kane in the summer for the finances and stuff like that. So I'm the only one that didn't, and I'm pushing back against it. I'm just giving people reality. It's true. We'll look at why the one season without Kane and Son's not producing the numbers off the left as he has done in previous seasons. I'm not making that up. That's fact.
Yeah.
You can deny
I didn't want him to go, Dave. I didn't want him to go.
I didn't want him to go, but I knew he would go. But I mean, those people that have turned around, I mean, particularly after the first 10 games of the season and said we're a better unit without Kane, I just can't understand that.
I just find it. Do you know what? I just find it so strange that he went this summer. This was the summer for him not to go. It was the summer for him to say, right, I'll stick. We've got a front foot manager now. We're going to be pushing forward. This is the time for me to say, right, I'll stay a bit longer and see how we do under Ange. And then he went. It was like I was a bit mind boggled, Dave, because I thought this was the season he should have said, right, we give it another go, because he gave us so many chances.
But the club opened the door for him to leave. And Jim, I listened to a lot of ex-pros talk about, you know, their careers and stuff. There's a great podcast out there called Under the Cosh. People should listen to, where they bring on ex-players and stuff. There's times there. I've never heard any player say the contrary. Once the club accepts a bid for you, they're happy to let you leave. And then after that, you end up negotiating and leaving because the club made you feel like they don't want you any longer. What we should have done is stood in his way, like we done when Man City came calling and said, you're not going anywhere. Back that they knew what Ange would come in and do this season along with the recruitment, and he would have signed on the dotted line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. But who's been our player of the season so far, Dave?
Oh, player of the season. I think Vicario's been phenomenal for large parts of this season. I think Romero's been outstanding for large parts of this season. Van der Ven's been good. But for me, I think so far my player of the season, it's either got to be Sonny or Papa Matasar for me. I think they've been the two most consistent players this season. But I think Son probably edges it for me.
Sonny. Jimbo, who are you going with?
Well, mine would be VDV or Vicario, and to pick one of the two, I'm going to pick Vicario because I think he's been a revelation to have a keeper that's as passionate as him, that shouts at the defence like him. You know, the saves he makes. I just think I love him. He's everything I want at the club.
Do you know what, though? It's funny because we all big him up massively and I love him. Obviously, he's behind me, so I can't say anything about him. But he's actually had less clean sheets and letting more goals than Onana, who's had so much criticism this season.
Yeah, but what about some of the defence he's had in front of him? You know,
but even when we've got our strong defence out there, he's
look at it. Look at the amount of goals he's also saved us. Stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I had him as my player of the season. I think it's difficult because I think Doggy at times has been fantastic. I think Porro has been unbelievable at times. Sonny, I'm going to say Sonny, same as you, Dave, actually, because I think he's surprised me so much by being such a great captain. And I was so anti-Son as a captain, and he's absolutely muddied me because I think he's been brilliant. So I'm going to big up Sonny. And plus he lost his partner in crime, which is obviously going to be unsettling for a player like Sonny, who's quite an emotional character as well. Martin says, thanks for the super chat. Big Vic, VDV and Sart, and I'm not picking one.
What did Big Vic say? I would have signed in blood. Is that what he said?
Yeah, he did. I mean, Dave, Premier League, 10 games left. Who wins it, in your opinion?
I really want to sit here and say Tottenham, but that dream left me a little while ago, unfortunately. And I would have said Tottenham if we would have bet Villa off the back, or if we would have bet Fulham off the back of Villa. You know, I think when you're going into the likes of City, Liverpool, Arsenal, all three teams up the top, full of confidence, we would have had an outside chance. Unfortunately, that dream is gone. So, do you know what? I'm sick of City winning, right? However, over here in Ireland, everyone's a Liverpool or United fan. And a lot of my friends are all Liverpool fans. And I just want to see them cry at the end of the season, and not tears of joy, to be brutally honest with you. You know, I don't want Kloppo Pops, sitting there winning the Premier League and having these big kumbaya leaving celebrations. So, unfortunately, on this one, I'm going to have to go Man City. I want them to win. I don't want Arsenal winning. That I'd have to move. I'd have to move planet, to be honest with you. And then I definitely don't want Liverpool winning. So, Man City, unfortunately.
I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks that I think Arsenal will win it, and I still do. I think everything's going their way. Liverpool now have got and more injuries. Robertson went off again last night. I just think they've looked so good, and I think they will beat Man City at the Etihad, which will be a massive game. Obviously, we've got a massive chance of stopping all of them because we've got to play them all yet. But Jimbo, are you still? Who do you think are going to win it?
I think that we're going to beat Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool, and we're going to be back in it. So I'm going to go Tottenham.
Are you not going to give me a reasonable answer?
No, that's my reasonable answer.
Okay.
I refuse to say one of the others are going to win it.
Yeah, I kind of, after seeing some of the Liverpool fans' behaviour this season, part of me wants to see them fail. But then I look at Man City and their cheating allegations, and part of me doesn't want them to win. It's really difficult. But I mean, there's some great draws coming up for the Champions League, Dave. Real Madrid, City, and Arsenal, Bayern. Who do you fancy for the Champions League this year? It's a toughie.
Well, first of all, I mean, the scheduling around the North London Derby is absolutely disgraceful. People like me who have to pay for flights and stuff like that, not to be given a definitive day, a month out from the game is absolutely bloody disgraceful. But I have maybe took a gamble. I've booked my flights for the Sunday. As I think Bayern Munich will take out Arsenal. So I don't think Arsenal will win it. I think Harry Kane should step up there, bag a couple of goals. That'd be absolutely awesome. I think it's hard to look past City again this side. Real Madrid I haven't been impressed with them. I think next season when they have the likes of Mbappe coming and things like players like that, I think you'll see a much more improved Real Madrid. But I think right now they're in a bit of a sort of transitional period, getting rid of the old guard, trying to freshen it up and stuff like that. So I don't think they'll see it out. For me, I'm going to go Bayern Munich or Man City.
Wow. Jimbo, who do you think's
think
winning the game? You think Bayern are going to do it? I would like to see them do it.
I think Bayern have had such a bad season. I think that they're going to end up stepping up in the Champions League.
All the eggs are in that basket now, isn't it, Jim?
What's that?
All the eggs are in the Champions League basket now.
I think Bayern. I'm going to stick with Bayern. I think they're going to win it. I think the first trophy Kane's going to win is going to be the Champions League,
and then come back to us next season.
Yeah, please God. I am going Real Madrid. They just know how to win the Champions League. No matter how they're playing, they just know. So I'm going for Real Madrid. But I would be absolutely delighted for Harry Kane. But yeah, it'd be weird, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be weird to see Eric Dyer win a Champions League with Bayern Munich? How he ever's got a transfer there? I'm baffled.
But you know what, Kate? I watched some of their games, and the things I've read, that he's playing really well there.
I know.
I mean, they said that he's back in the running to go to the Euros.
Are you reading it from Spurs journalist point of view? Because they're very biased towards Eric Dyer. Every time he played shit, they came out and backed him. I see a load of Bayern fans, a couple of Bayern fans come into my chats at times, and they said they're begging me to take him back.
Oh, right. I mean, I can only tell you what I've read,
Yeah.
But I mean, I saw him play the other day. They won. Bayern won easy, but I thought he played well, But it's a different type of football, Dave.
Yeah, of course it is. I will say, there we are. Where do you see Spurs finishing the end of the season, Dave?
Top 4.
Top 4.
Fourth,
yeah. That's exactly where I see him. Go on, Jim, say first.
First.
Yeah. I don't even need to ask you.
I'm consistent, Dave, and I.
I love it.
Zero law. I don't even have to ask these questions because I know what's coming, Dave. Finally, before we let you go, because I know you're a busy man. Obviously, Luton at the weekend, Dave. What are your predictions? Do you think Tottenham will bounce back?
Do you know what? as good as Luton has been this season, I've actually enjoyed watching them. You know, the underdog story, and I'd love to see them stay up. I really would. No one gave them a chance at the start of the season. I think they've done a phenomenal job there so far. It sort of reminds me of Blackpool back in the day, where they were close to staying up and stuff like that. I don't know why. I just have this feeling, I've had it all week, that I think we're going to come out and beat them 4-0. I've no substance behind it, no basis behind it, like I didn't for the Aston Villa one, but I got that one correct. So, I just have that feeling that we're going to come out, we're going to show that we're probably hurt and angry and stuff like that. And being a bigger pitch at Tottenham Hotspur, not being a tight pitch, I think we can run Luton around the place. And, I'm going to go 4-0 Tottenham.
Love it. Jimbo?
Exactly the same as Dave. I said the other day 4-0, and I'm going to stick with 4-0. I think 4-0.
We're long lost brothers, Jim.
Yeah. So, who do you think scores the goals, Jim?
I'm going to go 2 Sonny, 1 Madison, and 1 for Werner.
Oh, Dave, are you agreed with your brother from another mother?
I think, I agree with him on Son. I think Richie is going to score. I think we'll be doing the pigeon dance. And I don't know why. I just think Romero might pop up with one. I have a feeling.
Ooh.
Romero might pop up with one from a set piece.
Oh, I'm going to go for 3-0 to Spurs. And I'm going to go a Sonny brace and Kulu to score the winner or the last goal. So... but yeah, glad to see there's so much positivity. Great show, guys. Great to see my Irish brother internet held out for this week. 3-1 Spurs. Giving my hometown some love. Think score will be 5-2. I think I'd be a little bit concerned if we was going to Luton because they're good at home. But yeah, I think you're right, Dave. I think we've proved to be too much for them at White Hart Lane. When can we find you next, Dave?
Can I just ask Dave a question?
Of course you can.
Dave, what do you think will happen in the summer? Are you confident we'll do some good signings, or are you on the fence?
Like I did say earlier on, when Tottenham are doing well is when Levy sort of tends to slack off a little bit. But do you know what? I think we will bring in the signings, Jim. I think we will make the signings that we need to. Postecoglou wouldn't be happy if we don't. I think the board would be absolutely stupid if they don't give him what they need. If they piss him off, I just don't think the fans will forgive him off the back of Ange Postecoglou and stuff like that. Especially when you got a manager playing the way you want. You're just outside of the likes of Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. Your next step is chasing them, hunting them down, right? That's the next natural progression. And I think they'll be silly. In years gone by, they've had the excuses of the stadium and rebuild and stuff like that. But what they won't be able to do is use that hotel as an excuse not to sign players. Fans will not tolerate that. They'll tolerate it with the stadium because it is for us. Yes, they make more money off it and stuff like that, but we get a better place to go to and stuff like that. But they will not get away with the excuse of the hotel and stuff like that. So for me, with Paratici still there as advisor, but pulling all the strings behind the scenes. For me, I think we will make the signings, Jim. I really do think so.
Yeah. I'm in that boat, Dave. I'm convinced that they're all lined up already. I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced that in the first 2 weeks of the window, we're going to see the players coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I said yesterday, who's to say that this all hasn't been Levy's master plan to get the club and build it and get the stadium and expand and do this to get us to this position where we're fully sustainable, a rich club, to then go out and go, yes, let's push the boat out and really go for it now. Proof will be in the pudding, but we live on hopium that this will happen. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. What's Bobby Kay said? Dave, have you decided where you will celebrate when we pour Cinderella and win the league this year?
I'll get myself over for the trophy parade, to be brutally honest.
Exactly that. Dave, thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a... I just love talking to you. I could talk to you all day, literally. When can we find you next? I know there's loads going on always over at the Irish Hotspur.
Well, look, first of all, thank you for giving me a chance to redeem myself. That's absolutely sound of you guys. Make sure you smash a like button here. And if you're new, make sure you smash the subscribe button here first and foremost. If you guys do want to check out, I've got if anyone read Alistair Gould's article off the back of Postecoglou's interview from a month ago, where he spoke about, what, he went through all the positions in the team and, top players that Tottenham might be interested in. Well, if anyone came across the name Fetzi Ebicelli and they don't know anything about him, well, he's Irish. Get over to my channel. It's on there. I spoke about the guy. So check that out. And by the way, at the start of it, it's hilarious because I was bragging about having my internet back, but then the whole team kept on lagging and everything else. You'll watch it. It's absolute comedy. It's a joke. I ended up having to edit half of it out because there was no picture and no sound. It was madness. Anyway, there's a good video up there. And then we done a discussion with Flav Bateman from the Fighting Cock.
Yeah.
For the members, for all the members yesterday. We've now put that out live for everyone out there today if they want to give that a watch. So that's what's on there. And then, then obviously build up to the Luton game, all the pre-match jazz and stuff. So if you like that, get over there for that.
You got your fan show Friday, I think, this week as well.
Yeah, fan show Friday. Because we usually do it between a Monday and a Friday, and it's just nothing to talk about Monday, to be brutally honest. And I don't like forcing things. If there's nothing to talk about, you'll see me disappear for a few days. That's just the way I am. I'm not going to sit there and force things and make things up to talk about and shit like that. So that's why I've moved it to Friday basically, because we have Luton to talk about.
Yeah. Pottermac says, for the record, I've followed Dave and Jack from the beginning. They've come a long way. I'm so proud of them. I can see this channel grow too. Don't even put me in the same sentence as the Irish Hotspur, because they're huge and legendary, and rightly so.
No, we're not at all. But you know what, Pottermac, I do want to say, me and Pottermac have had our back and forth, for a few years under the comments about Son and Kane and all these other stuff. But you know what, respect where respect's due. We've never really sort of fallen out over it and stuff, even though we have different opinions. So respect goes back to you as well, Pottermac.
Yep. 100%. Big up, Dave. What a great flavour you brought. Ireland's #1 fan. Nice chat. Thanks. Subbed and came over as phone said Dave was there. Yeah. Dave, like I say, thank you so much for taking the time out and coming to speak to us both.
My pleasure.
Jim, I don't need to ask you when you're on next, Jim, because you're just on when I tell you you're on.
Right. I just want to say, I want to big up the gooners in the chat. I want to big up the gooners in the chat, because you got 3 or 4 in here, all very respectful.
Always.
And good comments. So I want to pick them up.
Yeah, and some Chelsea fans in here. And I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky with who we get in the chat. We get all sorts of team supporters in here. We get a lot of Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, Villa fans. Everyone's always respectful. That's how it should be. There's no reason for it to be any other way.
I didn't see any Chelsea fans, only Mark, and he knows what I think of him.
No, Chelsea boy's been in as well. 3-0 Spurs, Richie comeback hat-trick. Jim's under the whip. Do what Kate tells you, Jimmy Powell. Yeah, that's right as well. Make sure, if you haven't already, I'm sure everyone has, but if you haven't, go over to Dave and subscribe. I am on this afternoon at 3:30 with Terry for Straight Facts today, which is going to be interesting. No idea what we're talking about, but yeah, I'll be on the terrace. Any other words anyone wants to say before we go?
Come on, you fucking Spurs.
I've really enjoyed today, so thank you very much, you two. I really enjoyed today, and everyone else out there for listening to me. I really do appreciate that. I know my voice can, go through people's heads at times, but I thank you for listening to me, and a great show. And as Jim says, well, I was going to kiss the badge, but it's Darren badge, so I won't offend you all. So come on, you Spurs.
Dave, your voice could never go through. I listen to my voice and think, God, how do people listen to me? But no, you've got a voice like silk. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day, and yes, come on, you Spurs.